Hello. So, snow days are awesome, but unfortunately, we still need to cover enough of 252 so that when you go on to your next class, you know what they are talking about. So, we're going to do some of this via video and online. And first, I just want to do an overview of the techniques of integration and kind of orient you to what we're covering in Chapter 8 again. So, for the techniques of integration, you can separate what we're doing in the book into general and specific techniques of integration. And we've actually done most of the general techniques of integration. So your general techniques are basic antiderivatives, which sometimes you need to simplify algebraically first, but then you just recognize that as the derivative of something you know, or you reverse the power rule. The other technique you've learned is use substitution, which reverses the chain rule. And the new technique we learned right before the test was integration by parts, which uses the product rule to integrate things that we can't integrate using use substitution. And these are actually all of the general techniques, and they're super important, and so we are going to take a proficiency test on these. So the proficiency test is going to be in class, and we're going to postpone it from Monday to Wednesday just because of the snow days, and it's 5% of your course grade. It's going to focus on the general techniques, the basic antiderivatives, use substitution, and the integration by parts that we've already covered. And your job will be to find 10 indefinite integrals, no notes, no calculator, so you're going to have to recognize basic derivatives of things you know. So if you haven't begun memorizing those, you're going to want to between now and next Wednesday. And you need to get 9 or 10 correct to get 100%. If you get 7 or 8 correct, you get 50%. Less than 7 correct, you get 0%. There will be an opportunity to retake it in the testing center, not during class. And we'll talk about that if you need to. But if you just get 100% the first time, then you won't need to retake it. I have two practices, or not two, I just have one practice for the proficiency test, but it's rather big and long, and then there's a key in the notes as well. So here's your practice, and then here's your solutions. And so those are the general techniques of integration that we've learned, and we're going to want to keep using those and practice those and make sure we know them well so we can use them in the future. We are going to learn a little more complicated integration by parts than what would be on the proficiency test. So I have posted a couple videos for you. And then there's also some specific techniques of integration, which is where we're headed to next. So for specific techniques of integration, your book covers integrals involving sine and cosine. And we've already done a lot of those. Like sometimes you use substitution, sometimes you'll use integration by parts, but you'll also use trigonometric identities as well. So they cover that as a separate section. There's also integrals involving the square root. So something with a square root in it that doesn't get squared, it's harder to integrate and find an antiderivative. So we need new techniques. And then integrals involving rational functions. So these are polynomials over polynomials, things like this. How would you integrate that if you can't use u sub? So trigonometric integrals are, that's section 8.3, which we're going to have to do via videos because we missed 4 days. We won't be able to do that in class. Integrals involving square roots, that's section 8.4. And then rational functions, that's section 8.5. And so those are specific kinds of integrals that we're going to learn how to take antiderivatives of.